Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time. Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time.
And we're back!
All right.
It's almost Halloween. We were gonna do our top 10 horror games
I'm
or
dressed
something.
up like a guy with a hat.
And I'm dressed up like that serial killer vassal. So, top 100 People's Choice. We are now in the top third.
Top third,
Number
baby.
30 through 21. These are games that, I mean, these are the kind of games where people be like, oh yeah, of course, I think at this point.
I guess so.
There's a few surprises. There's actually more surprises, I think, on Friday's list from 20 to 11, maybe. But what game is number one? Now, some people said that Z gave out number one because he said Pandemic was number one, but that's your number one.
Right, that's my top game.
That could be the people's number one, but it might not be. Other people want to know if you actually like games.
Yeah, just make sure, I want to make sure people know that just because I don't like that game doesn't mean you don't like that game. It's okay. And yes, I like games, just not some of these games.
How many games do you have, you think? Guesstimating.
I have about 360 games.
Well, you almost as many as I do. Is your room as big? Do you have a room like this that you sit in surrounded by games?
Yeah, I do.
We'll have to do a show at your place.
Games.
Alrighty, well, let's get going.
Number 30, Alien Appears.
Alien Frontiers. This was on the list last year. It actually went up from 36 to 30. I don't know if that's because of the expansion
I don't think so.
factions. I think maybe just because... No, I know what it is.
New printing, right?
There was fewer people who owned it last year. The Kickstarter people had it, and then the second edition, it sold out. But this is an excellent...
Yeah, this game is awesome. Worker placement, but with dice. You chuck a bunch of dice and you place them, and that limits where you can go. The space theme is awesome. The artwork's got that cool retro sci-fi thing going. This game is a slam dunk all the way. I don't think I've ever played with anybody who doesn't like it. Have you?
No, I haven't, because it really just works on a lot of levels. One of the things I really like about the game is the production. I think that any game that Dave McKenzie produces is superb.
Chill!
But...
Check out Nothing Personal coming up.
But no, it's on Kickstarter now. Now.
Out now. Go back it.
Okay, but listen, Alien Frontiers is fun because of the space theme, but it actually it could have been taken out of the space thing. It could have been made into a pusher cubes, medieval Europe trade, wine for silk for pink food cubes.
Yep.
But the spaceships here add something to it. The space theme adds to it. But even more than that, I think that the cards add a lot to the game.
Oh, yeah.
You really can attack each other and really nail each other to the wall.
There's so much interaction, people can block off where you were hoping to go. You can knock off people's dice and go there. Yeah, the interaction just takes the worker placement game to a whole new level.
But I will say that the expansion for this is awesome. I really like the special abilities each faction has. That's a great addition. And I think once that gets out to more people, I wouldn't be surprised if this stays at the same position or even goes a little higher.
Oh, this is going to go up, for sure.
All right. Well, Alien Frontiers.
Number 29, The Resistance.
I am never the bad guy in these. And when I am... I was the bad guy in Resistance. In Resistance, you'll be the bad guy more often than not because you have like a 1/3 chance of being the bad guy.
Pretty good odds.
Resistance, if you've never played it before, is basically werewolf in a box, in a sense. It takes werewolf, but you don't need a moderator. You're all playing together and gives you logical reasons why someone might lie. You'll say, well, on that turn you were on the mission, and then the second turn you weren't on the mission, and there's some back and forth.
And also no one dies, so everybody stays in the game all the way through.
That's true. Yeah, and there's a lot of people who like this better than Werewolf for that reason. Are you one of them?
I think I am. Yeah, I do like it when you play. Especially the thing about Werewolf is it plays a bigger group, but you have to be okay with being out of the game for a good half hour. You're the first one they kill, just because so we got to kill somebody, so you're it. In this game, you don't suffer from that. You play a smaller group, still a good chunk of people, 8, 9 people if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I think it goes up to 9. No, 10. This one goes up to 10. That's a pretty good number.
And everybody's in it all the time. It's a great game. I remember the first few games of this I played. Just the shouting and the finger pointing and just the energy around the table is
That's
insane.
true.
You know?
Anytime I play this, there's people yelling at each other. Great game. So there you go. And this is the new version of it. Just came out. They also have an Avalon version. So if you want to play King Arthur Resistance, which is very, very similar. Essentially the same game with some minor changes. So there you go. 2 different versions you can get the Resistance.
Number 28, Dixit.
On my top 100 list, there's a lot of party games. On the People's Choice, there's not quite as many party games.
Right.
In fact, this is the first one we've had in a long time. Maybe this might be the only party game on the whole
Cards Against
list.
Humanity would be a party game. That was,
that's
that was
true.
100, right?
Yeah,
Or near
it was
that?
near the top. I think that those 2 are the only party games. Oh, Wits and Wagers was 93. So really, there's not as many party games because a lot of gamers don't think of these as their favorite games. They think of games that, party games are fun, people like them, they just don't think of them as their favorite games, which I say Balderdash 2.
I like that
Get
game.
my pun?
That's an awesome party game.
Balderdash and Malarkey, I say. You're comparing apples to oranges, but
Stop.
but look, Dixit. But party games, if you have a blast. Oh, I guess Resistance. We just talked about it. But anyway, if you're having a blast and people are screaming, yelling, and laughing and having a great time at a party, then shouldn't that be one of your favorite games?
It's an awesome game.
I don't understand why people are like, well, I like apples to apples, but I like Twilight Imperium. I mean, really. But anyway, for some reason, gamers accept Dixit as an acceptable party game.
Yeah, and I don't know why that is. I really have no idea why that
Well,
one.
it's an awesome game.
Maybe, yeah, I don't know. It is a sweet game.
I think
love
it's
it.
because you can sit there and say all kinds of weird stuff. I love when you take Dixit and turn it into a psychological game.
Oh,
you put a
yeah.
card down and say, this one reminds me of Z. Now, all of a sudden, you're like, well,
Didn't we do that once and we got some creepy cards played? Creepy? What's up with that?
so, yes, there was. I remember that very specifically.
I've
But
played it where you play with only sounds. You can't say words, you have to make sounds. And it's hilarious because that person who is kind of shy in the group and has to get the sounds out goes, and everybody just loses it, and they're like, okay, don't look at me, don't look at me. This is gold, This game
I'm going to have
is
to try that
excellent.
next time, just sounds. But anyway, there's many Dixit. We're showing you Dixit Odyssey. There's Dixit, Dixit 2, Dixit Odyssey. Then there was Dixit Adventure. I forget. But they all work essentially the same, and they all mix together. I have all of them in this box.
Me too, I have
Fantastic.
them all.
Then they could print a new expansion every year, and I would get it. Just for the artwork. The artwork is phenomenal. So that's Dixit.
Number 27, Thunderstorm.
Last year, Thunderstone was on the list at 20. This year, it's at 27. Last year, it wasn't new last year, was it? I think it's been out for 3 years now,
It's been
right?
out for a while.
And so I don't know why it dropped down, especially with the new Thunderstone Advance that came out, which I thought really cleaned the system up.
So are we counting those two together as the same thing?
We are. Well, there was almost no changes made other than like streamlining a little bit. When it comes to deciding if games go together, I just make the call. So if you want to call, Z made the call, so call him. Email him
I wanna go.
at zgarcia@dumbo.com. But anyhow, Thunderstone is the first deck building game that made a splash after Dominion. It wasn't the first one, I think. Arctic Storm or something was the first.
The Arctic Scavengers.
Arctic Scavengers was the
Yes.
first one. But this one was the one that made a splash, and people were like, oh, it's a copy of Dominion. Well, not really, especially since there's now 50 other games out there. Some of them are almost a straight-up copy of Dominion. Thunderstone took it in a different direction.
Well, I think it got that comparison because it was one of the first ones.
Right.
Now, nobody would really say that anymore when you have really close clones.
Right, because Dominion basically made a genre, and people said it copied Dominion. Now they wouldn't because the genre has been defined. It was just one game.
I think this game would appeal to you if A, you're okay with the deck building still. I know some people have
But
gotten
you want
burnt
more
out,
theme.
But you want that theme. You want those monsters, those heroes, swords, crazy spells. This is the game you want. You want deck building and you want all that flavor? I don't think there's anything quite like it.
No, there isn't. And I still say you should play it with the Epic Thunderstone, where you mix
them
everything
all up.
together. I made you play that way, right?
I think I've played that way, yeah.
Yeah, I refuse to play any other way.
It's cool either way. I really like it either way. It's a fun, flavorful game. It's awesome.
So Thunderstone, Heart of Doom. That's what this one's called anyway. But there's lots of
Number 26, Le Havre.
And now a game very similar to Thunderstone. Le Havre. Or is it Le Havre? Or
Le Havre.
I don't know. I looked
sure
it
it's
up.
Le
I thought it was Le Havre.
I think.
Okay. Anyway, this was the game that came out directly after Agricola, or the year after Agricola. Agricola came out and made the splash of splashes, and people really like Agricola. It's possible that it's on your list somewhere. We haven't got to it if it is. But Le Havre came out the year after and it got a kind of different praise. I think in the long run it's rated. The people who like Le Havre tend to really like it.
Yeah.
But it never made the huge splash as Agricola did. I don't know why. Apparently farming is more fun than shipping.
I think it was the surprise of the first one. It's like a really awesome sequel. You know what I mean?
It's like Terminator 2 versus Terminator.
Right, the first one just blows your mind because it's never been done. The second one's better, but it's been done, so it's a slow burn. I think this game is a slower burn.
I've always liked this one better than Agricola for the simple reason that in Agricola, you have a pile of choice you have to make in your turn. But if someone else steals your choice that you want it to do, then you can get messed over and you just do what you can.
Yeah.
In Le Havre, if someone steals a choice you're going to do, you can pick another also pretty good choice. There's always, it's when you're picking, you're not going, what's the one choice I need to make? You're saying, oh, that's awesome, that's awesome, that's awesome, that's awesome. I like that. I'm going to get a whole pile of resources here, whole pile of resources. You get to use this building, and you have to feed your people in this one just like Agricola, but you don't, it's not a, I have to feed my people every turn it'll start. Well, you do have to feed your people, but it's not hard to do so.
It's not as punishing.
Oh, well, yeah, it's not as punishing, and it's not hard to do so.
Right. And plus, if you're getting that feeling of, boy, I'm really accomplishing a lot, then you don't have that problem with Euros that sometimes you feel like you're getting a real piecemeal sort of experience, where you play 2 hours and you feel like, hey, I built a barn. Yay. I have 6 points, you know?
That is a big deal for some
you
people.
feel like this is awesome. I'm making progress. Then that makes it, you know?
All right. Well, anyhow, Le Havre.
Number 25, Magic the Gathering.
This game, Magic the Gathering, is...
You have every card in there, right?
This is every card ever printed. If they were on microfilm... Now, these are a bunch of commons that I bought at the store because I like to buy commons and build decks out of them.
Cool.
This is probably one of the most, I would say, if we did one of those lists where you had like the differential where people who loved it versus people who hated it,
Yeah.
this would be probably have one of the highest differentials on the list.
That's true, but most of those people who hate it probably loved it, which is unique for this game. Because most of the people who hate Magic now used to love Magic.
Until it used
And then they
them.
lost their house,
It moved in.
and now it's, you know,
It
now
moved
they hate
in,
it.
brought all its baggage, and then
Yeah.
left with all your money, and now you're still paying alimony a long time later. So, no, but I think the thing is that everyone always looks over is the fact that, yes, it's collectible, and some people hate collectible, but the fact is it was a groundbreaking game, and they are still coming out with new stuff for it.
Yeah,
and stuff that gets people excited. They just came out with a set last week, I think. A new Magic set.
Yeah,
and
the
people,
Ravnica, Return to Ravnica.
right, and people are like super pumped about that.
Yeah, people are eating it up.
And this is 2012, and the game came out in '94. It's almost 20 years old, and people are still excited about new expansions. There is no other game that's come out with any expansion. This is the James Bond of board games.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And it's an awesome game. I mean, if you're okay with the collectible part, which you can avoid, okay, if you don't freak out and go buy everything ever made.
if you don't play tournament play,
Yeah, just don't go there. Like I for example, buy the dual decks. It's 2 decks. They come pre-balanced, $20.
I really like those dual decks.
Knock out a game, awesome.
They're also kind of thematic on how they play against each
you
other.
get the whole flavor, you get the whole Magic experience, and you just don't have to go there with the collectible, you know?
Right. Well, it's another whole session. We could talk for a long time about how
this is totally an awesome choice for the top 100, and I'm glad to see it there.
now 25, 3/4 of the way done. Game.
Number 24, Mage Knight board game.
A new addition to the list, but not one that's a surprise. And Z continues his hatred for Vlada.
Now, this is not one I've actually played, so I can't hate. I can't hate on a game I haven't played. I shall abstain.
Okay, abstain. But this is one that really has gotten a huge following. When I first heard about it, I was like, well, we'll see. Mage Knight, the board game. What are they going to do? I was thinking in my head something like Hero Quest.
Right.
And they were going to use the little quick figures for Hero Quest in it. But what they did actually was they went from Hero Quest, which is, move around, roll dice, see what happens, special powers, to a game that was like super Euro. I mean, super Euro, to the point where guys who like those heavy Euro games like Puerto Rico were like, I love this game.
Oh, yeah.
At Dice Tower Convention this year, this was being played, I think, almost the whole time. Someone was playing it somewhere.
You're probably right.
And it takes a while to play. It's a long game. There's not as much luck in it as you think. There's a lot of deterministic things. But people are excited, and the expansion's about to come out. So
really?
Yeah, it's going to stay on the list for a long time.
Yeah, everybody who I know who's played it, I'm probably the one in the group who kind of has shied away from playing it. But everybody who I know who's played it loves this game.
Yeah, and I like it too. So
this game has serious staying power.
So we'll see. We'll see where it is next year. This is the first year, but debuting at 24 is nothing to scoff at.
That's the first showing. I mean, that's...
So Mage Knight, the board game.
Number 23, Twilight Imperium.
And now for a pocket game. When you're waiting for other gamers to show up, you say, hey, let's quick play a game.
Break out a little TI-3. Nothing wrong with that. I like to take this game traveling myself, play it at the airport, that sort of thing.
And then when you die on your trip, you can be buried in the box. This is one of the few games where I actually... The main box came and it was gigantic, oversized. It didn't necessarily need to be oversized, but now that both expansions are here, I think it's fair to say that this is exactly the right size. Because this whole box is just full of stuff.
Wow.
Plastic miniatures, giant hexagons,
Oh, I'm salivating a little bit.
You are, but Twilight Imperium is also on the list. It was 19 last year, 23 this year. It's very simple why it's on the list. Because the people who like it love it. And there's no, we have people in our group who get together once a month and play Twilight. And before that, I don't know where they are right now, but there was people in our group who played it weekly. And this is a 6-hour game, and that's being generous with the time.
Right.
So
there's nothing that's come along that has knocked this off its throne.
I'm curious to see how Exodus will do, because Exodus has just been released. Was one I previewed for Kickstarter, and I really felt like it was a Twilight Imperium light. And I thought it did a very good job of that. We'll see if that does anything, but this has such a huge fan base.
I think people who want to play Twilight Imperium don't want to play Twilight Imperium Light,
I think this will be on the list for 10 years, probably.
Oh, yeah.
We'll watch. Twilight Imperium. I was going to push this off the table, but gotta use two.
Number 22, Stone Age.
That's been, if Stone Age had just come out, I think people would be like, oh wow, real fun new light Euro game. But it's been out for, I don't know, five years or so.
A while. This came out around the same time that Pillars of the Earth came out.
Right, it came out.
First few worker placement games.
I remember when Pillars of the Earth came out and I saw Stone Age and I said, man, that looks just like Stone Age and it doesn't look as much fun. And then I played it and I said, oh, and I still personally like Pillars of the Earth better.
I do too.
But this one is not a bad one. It's so simple. You're just allocating people, and then you get to roll lots of dice.
This is also prettier, I think. The theme is probably, the theme gets you into the game a little more, unless you're a fan of the book, Pillars of the Earth. It's a gorgeous looking game. That board is stunning. The pieces are great, the chucking dice, if you enjoy that sort of thing for resource gathering, thumbs up there.
Most of the theme makes sense. At the end, getting the cards doesn't really make a lot of sense.
It's a little weak.
But sending people out to get food, sending people out to get the different resources. Some resources are harder. Sending two people to a hut and a third one appears by magic,
Yeah.
And how many jokes are made about the hut. And, there's a lot going on in the game, and it is enjoyable. And there's some neat hold your breath moments when you roll dice for the bonus cards to see, will I get an extra tool that I can use. So
this is actually the only one on the list so far of these 10 that I'm surprised is actually this high. When I first played this years ago, when it first came out, I liked it. I thought, oh, that's a cool game. I did not think it was going to have the staying power.
I didn't either, and in fact, for me, I still have it in my collection. This is my game. It's kind of weird because I don't really love this game. It's just that there's so few games that are in this category, that are in that light Euro category, that are easy for me to pull out and say, let's play a game. And this is one of those. If I want to teach people Euros, this is a great one to do it with, and it's so easy to pick up and understand.
Number 21, Memo 44.
Ooh, what's that you got there? Whoa. Are we going camping?
It's incognito. No, it's actually Memoir 44. Do you know what the sad thing is? This is full. I don't know that I can add anything else to this bag, and this is not everything Memoir.
Really?
It's not. I don't have the newest equipment thing that they came out with. Is not in here, and I'm almost willing to stop because I could play what's in here for
forever.
Years.
Yeah.
I was happy with the original game, and they kept coming out with expansions, which did make me happy. And then those campaign books, which are fantastic. Memoir is high on the list. It was higher last year, 15 went to 21, but whatever. Easy enough. It's the simplest, most accessible war game in existence. It really is. And every time I say that, someone gets mad.
War game? That's not a war game. It's basically a toy.
Not only is it a war game, but it's a simulation.
Ooh, big word.
No, but the fact
It's
is,
a fun game.
It is.
It's a game about war, and it's fun.
it's basically what you want to do when you're a kid. When you have those little green army men, and you want to roll dice and shoot at each other, this lets you do it. And it does so in historical scenarios. And I think the flavor of World War II comes out of this. So
yeah, I have said before that I like Battle Lore more in this system, but this is hot on its heels. This is an awesome game. Great production, Days of Wonder, great flavor. I remember the last time we played, actually, the last time I played with you, and we played the big old...
oh, I love playing that. Overlord.
Overlord, that is awesome. It's just... It just puts you there, you know what I mean? That's a great way to play.
If you've never played an Overlord scenario, you really have got to try it at least once. Because although they have Overlord, you said you like Battle... Which one did you say?
Battle Lore.
Battle Lore. They got Overlords for that too. But I mean, there's all kinds of cool stuff. So anyway, Days of Wonder allowed him to basically bring this system and just keep rolling with it. And there's other ones, Commands and Colors and Napoleonic Wars, and there's that new Samurai ones. But Baden, which is almost a spin-off.
Sure.
It's not the same, but still, it's really cool. But the King Daddy of all of them is still Memoir. So there we go.
Agreed.
Well, that's it for this time, folks.
See, that wasn't mean one time in all those 10, was I mean?
I don't think you were mean. He was nice. This is the kinder, gentler Z.
I like games.
The moon is not full tonight. So, anyhow, very excited. Come back on Friday to see we're in the top 20 now, so that's pretty exciting. So, come back a week from today to see the top 10, and then we're done. We're through.
All right.
Well, for a year.
That's all right.
Dice Tower People's Choice Top 100 Games of All Time.